schools would chant, what do we eat? What do we eat? Beaver meat, beaver meat. How do we like it? How do we like it? Raw, raw, raw. That's pretty good. That's true. They really did do that. Anyway, though, I came from, you wouldn't know, you probably wouldn't know what to look at me, but my family, where I come from, they're like real jockey and Republican-y. They don't call me for nothing, man. They don't come to my shows and shit. With their friends go, oh, what happened to your boy? I'll tell you what happened to their boy. I was forced, in my opinion, as a young man. My father was obsessed with a game called football, and he wanted me and my brother to play it, and my brother wanted to play it, and he was pretty good at it. I didn't know what I wanted. I was too young to be making decisions like that. And I did want to please my father. So I tried and I tried and I tried. And by the time I was a junior in high school, at Beaverton High School, I had become a member of the varsity football team. And I'm not saying I played or I was good, but I was on that fucking team, man. And a lot of people, you know, they didn't. So if you weren't on the team, here's what it is. You and about 50 other kids, if you join up, you and about 50 other kids are going to get together. The thing's going to last about 4 months. You're going to get together every day of those 4 fucking months. For a good 3 hours, you're going to take off all your comfortable stuff, put on really, really uncomfortable stuff. And you're going to go outside and run into and away from each other, all in relationship to the movement of the ball, no matter what the weather is. And I should add, the whole time consistently being yelled at by adults. And sometimes it happens like right after school. Sometimes you do it with some kids from another school and the parents come watch and they keep track or something. Sometimes you do it in a different school, but in linear sense, it's what I said. It's kids running around. And in weird outfits, if you ask me. My father was into it, and he told me I was representing our district. I don't know what the fuck that meant. I didn't know I was from a district, and now I got to represent it, and it's up for grabs, and we can win it, and if we win it, we go to state. Like, what? And why don't you guys win it? Why can't we win it in normal clothes, you know? And then the thing I didn't like the most is like, so you practice this game so much, and one of the things that I disliked about it the most, at least practice, was they had this thing they called the sled, and the sled, you might have seen one, you know, they have them, they're always out on the practice field of football, high school, it's just like 6 pads attached to this sled-like thing with a place for a grown-up to stand on the back of it, and then the kids literally line up to push it. And the guy yells at them the whole time that they're pushing it. He's yelling at them to push it harder than they're pushing it. However hard they are pushing it, he would like them to see if maybe they could push it harder. And he communicates that at a pretty serious volume. And so, and you're gonna say one other thing about the fucking pad that eats at me? You ever watch a game on TV? You ever see a fucking row of pads out there? Ever? Does it ever happen in the fucking game? No, it never happened. There's never a time where the announcer's like, oh shit, the pads are out there, John. They're going to either want to run around them or line up and push them. They're going to need to get a guy out there to yell at them right away. So, anyway, I'm fucking around. But you know, Jesus. So, Here I am one afternoon. I tell you, I started off to tell you what happened, man. And this is what happened. One afternoon, I'm waiting in line to push something. Never again. And I see across the field, there's this other group of kids. They got on the same shit they had on at school. And they're smoking cigarettes, which I'd heard was bad, but there's chicks over there, which I knew in my soul was good. And so I asked the older guy that was standing in front of me in line, I said, man, who are those guys over there? He said, those are the burnouts, man. I said, what's a burnout? He said, the burnouts hang out in the smoke pit over there. I said, what's the smoke pit? He said, that's where the burnouts hang out. So I didn't know any better, so I asked the coach, and I'll never forget it. I said, Coach, what's a burnout from the smoke pit? And man, it was like a light bulb went off in his head, and he turned and looked at me with all this sorrow. He's like, oh, Snider, yeah. I sure hope you don't turn into a burnout from the smoke pit. Sorry, Coach. But at first I was like, why? What's wrong with them? And he said, look at them. They're like these dirty sheep standing around the field doing nothing. I was like, well, that sounds like something you don't want to do. So I avoided those kids. And then one afternoon, I'm trying to get my lunch. And there's no place to sit except for by this guy that I clearly recognize as a burnout from the smoke pit. I have to sit there. We start talking. He seems just as nice as anybody else. And then he says to me, hey, Snider, man, have you ever tried hallucinogenic mushrooms before? And I said, no, man. And he said, would you like to? And I said, yeah, shit, yeah, let's try that. So he hands me a bunch of them, and I eat them all. And then like a half hour later, man, it hit me like an epiphany, man. There's no way I'm going to go to football practice after school. So I went with my new friend to the smoke pit, man. And it was the first time there was girls. And it was the first time that I had ever, you know, there they were, the football team over there, lined up to push that fucking thing. And it was the first time I had ever seen the life planned for me from a distance, you know. And I thought, well, shit, they could just as easily be described as a bunch of dirty sheep standing around in a field doing nothing, just in less comfortable shit, you know? And just as I was thinking that, I swear to you, who'd make this up, right? The goalposts turn into candles. And just as I'm thinking, well, I don't usually do that, they turned into Roman candles and just busted like crazy into the sky. I'm like, you're seeing this, and nobody was seeing it. And then I looked over at my friends to see if they were seeing it, but they were still pushing that fucking sled. Only now, swear to God, it had morphed into Fred G. Sanford from the hit situation television sitcom, and he was holding his chest like it was the big one, and they were pushing him. And I was yelling, no! And then it morphed into Jesus. I'm not trying to be sacrilegious. Who would add that if it wasn't real? Who wants that? That happened. I'm like, what is happening? And then it morphed into, swear to you, a different guy that wasn't Jesus, but looked like had a robe and sandals. She like could have been Jesus' friend in the day or some shit. And I'm looking at him, just staring at him, because I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. And then he turns and makes eye contact with me and yells across this field, hey man, do you have 2 10s for a 5 or 2 quarters for a nickel that I could hold? And then I said, what? And he said, do you know how a man can get to Arca Butler? Or can somebody even get there from here? I still think about that. But I knew in that moment there was no fucking way I was ever going to go to football practice again, ever. Or any kind of practice. I don't even practice music. I just play it. And I'll tell you something though, while I still support Coach Boyer and the Beaverton Beavers football team, because A, I think this could be the year we win district, but more importantly, we got the coolest goalpost in the whole fucking state of Oregon. And that, my friends, is the touching and yet tender story of how I was transformed from the scoreboard watching jock that my parents was hoping for into the peace-loving, pot-smoking, porn-watching, lazy-ass hippie that stands before you this evening. Conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American males, gay bashing, black fearing, war fighting, tree killing, regional leaders of sale, shirt tugging, frat house and cake tapping, backslapping, hater of hippies like me, tree hugging, peace loving, pot smoking, porn watching, lazy ass hippies like me. Tree hugging, peace loving, pro-choice and gay wedding, widespread panic digging hippies like me. Skin color blinded, conspiracy minded, protesters of corporate greed. We who have nothing and most likely will till we all end up locked up in jail. By conservative, Christian, right-wing, Republican, straight white, American male. Diamonds and dogs, boys and girls, we're living together in two separate worlds. We're following leaders up mountains shade, looking for someone to blame. I know who I like to blame. Conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American male, soul-saving, lamp-paving, rush-loving, flag-waving, personal friends to the quail, quite diligently, working so hard to keep the free reins of this democracy. From tree-hugging, peace-loving, pot-smoking, porn-watching, lazy-ass hippies like me. Tree-hugging, peace-loving,